So here I just started to do some training with both dogs because they both wanted to play at the same time.
Good boy.
So I also forgot a clicker in this first set of videos, so I'm having to just say yes, which isn't as accurate as using a clicker, but as both my dogs are quite used to me doing it that way, they're okay. Zazu is slightly deaf and slightly blind, so that's why he is slower at reacting, but he also knows more tricks than Tito, so he does keep trying to give me some other ones while he's playing. So as you can see here, Tito is getting much better at responding quicker to the commands.
Yes.
And also his flat now is actually getting really pretty good. So I was really happy with him through this session.
Yes. Flat. Yes.
So I do lots of down to flat moves here because I basically want to proof my flat, and going from a down is a much more obvious move to flat than a sit is, so it tends to prevent the bum going down quite as often, so he can get correct more often.
Yes. Good boy. Good boys. Flat.
So in this video you can just see my hand signals for each of my moves, so you can't see the sit, but that's a closed fist. But you can see the other two, so a point to flat and a hand pointing the floor for down, just
Down.
in line with my voice command. So he has both reinforcements, and I've got a clicker back. So I've just moved into the kitchen now, and this is just proofing that my 3 commands, sit, down and flat, are generic and work anywhere rather than just in a single room.
Flat. Good boy. Break. Come on. Flat.
Here I'm now just progressing to taking the move, so getting to do a flat and then starting to do the weight with him. So this is the first time I've ever done a flat weight, so he's good at the sit and a down. But so this is teaching him that actually just standing can also be done as a weight. So you can see the 1 step away, and then eventually I work to 2 steps and then make it a forward step, just longer away from him while he's still waiting, always stepping back and rewarding him. So I don't want him to break the weight until I tell him to, so I'm not pushing it too far until I'm really secure that he isn't going to break the weight. Then I can ask for a bit more, but not holding him for too long. So after this period, he will then get told to break and move again. Otherwise, he will end up doing it on his own. And then just at the end of the week, I was doing some work with the same sit down and stand, but using a treat and train reward tool, because I use this when I'm training Louise with him, and he was just a bit nervous of the sound of it moving around. So I was just using an activity he knows really well, so he understands that the sound means reward, a bit like a clicker, rather than it being a scary thing.
Down. Good boy, look at it. Sit down. Sit.
So this is after another few sessions with the machine as a reward.
Down.
And so you can see he's quite confident with it, and he knows that's where the sweets come from. I wouldn't use this normally because it's not as good as being able to use the click to say he's done well, but this was to try and train the comfort with the machine.
Down. Flat.
So this is the same as last week, still the contact work, still working on them 2 on 2 off, but with me walking past, you can see here that Tito still, beginning of the week, isn't that strong at actually stopping if I don't stop, so he's getting better, and so that face this week's work was trying to make him understand that he had to stop whether I moved or not, and then proofing how long he'd wait there for me to keep going back and give him a reward rather than him just walking off himself.
Oh man.
So here on this one, I'm proving that he will stay in the right position. So I'm moving around him. So here I'm actually getting more sweets. And then rewarding him. So he should stay where he is, so he doesn't move until I give him his release command. So here I'm still rewarding even though he ended up with only 1 foot on, because he did stop. And then you see here he misses the stop. So I just go, oh, it's all wrong. And then I just stop him from going back on the other way. So I put my foot on there. So I can continue the movement, and then you see here, he then gets it. So I can then reward him.
Come on.
So then yeah, I've just moved the book into the kitchen again. I'm just proofing it once again another space. And here, proofing that he'll stay on it while I move around him a bit. So you'll also see that I do it both on the left and right. And then I try to build up my speed, because eventually I just want him to know wherever I am, he hits a contact, he stops.
Ready? Let's go. Yes! Clever man. Break. Go. Break.
And then this one is I'm trying to put a bit of speed from me going in here, so that I'm walking a bit faster and he will stop, and I'll leave him and then come back and reward him. It's just quite hard inside, but it's horrible weather outside, so this is the best we can do right now.
Break. Come on. Good boy. Break.
So we've finally got some nice weather outside. I'm just starting doing it on the plank, so here when I'm walking slowly, he's waiting for me there. He understands the stop, and he's just doing it on both sides, like I said. So he's not quite gone to the end, but he has still stopped. So I'm rewarding on here. And then we'll see that this is, as I go a bit faster, he should stop. But it's still doing it, so I'm pretend jogging here. So I'm not really going faster, just trying to proof that it will do it. Because last week, as soon as I went faster the walk, he just came off. And then I put it onto a full dog walk. So here it's a low height, but first time doing the whole lot. And so I'm just walking with him, and he gets the end, so he gets a reward. And then once again, make sure I'm doing it on both sides, and say pretend jogging, so that I'm trying to get some speed in there, so he isn't waiting for me to stop before he stops. So you'll just see here that I need to work on not stopping. He's proof that I can trust him more. That's still what we need to work on. So then I've also just started retraining with him. So this is the first time he has ever seen weed poles. As you can see, he's not overly keen on the whole poles. So he's on the lead, same as we do at training. And then yeah, Greg's giving a reward at the end. And then you can see from here, even after just the second go, he is getting more of the idea. He's still not overly keen on the poles, but it's a lot better, and especially at the end, he's more confident than he was before. So like all the kit, he's got to be good both left and right. So it's just repeating the same thing, both sides. And as he's been doing it a few times now, he is far more confident going through the weaves, not so scared of the poles themselves, but still on the lead until he does understand he's got to run the whole way down. So then releasing him without me going with him. So it's just doing a front recall to Greg. So yes, he's got this one. We do this quite a few times, just so that he's proved, and we want him to run through it and be happy running. So this is where Greg's moved further away to do the front recall. We're starting to introduce the training machine, so that I can do this without Greg around. But this is where I could see that Tito was getting nervous of the noise it made, so we had to go do the other training as well. So I'm really happy at how forward he is to start with, but as he's getting to the machine, he's getting a bit scared by the noise. So hopefully we can solve that before we do this again. So then this is just me being able to have a bit of time so I can do it on my own with him, because I've got the machine there that I can ward him when we get to the end. And just happy that he is running straight through without me needing to be next to him. So they're not 100% getting it yet, but only the first, second day we're doing it. So just did a very small amount of jump training with him this week, and as to start with, he completely missed the jump. Doesn't really have a clue what we're doing, because he hasn't done any jumping since the last weekend. So yes, just working on here. It's just the first set of just going over 2 jumps and then turning to the right. So just hopefully a relatively easy exercise just to get him running forwards and over the jumps. So I'm happy with how forward he was here. And then moving on to changing it so that we go over the jumps, once we turn right, we then do an in, and he's getting rewarded for the in, so let's just train the in on this one. And then we go back over 2 jumps to try and keep the speed running, because I want to make sure he keeps having forward momentum over jumps and doesn't back up and wait for me. So the final exercise we did was going just over 2 jumps and rewarding in, and then jumping over the first jump again backwards, so that he's just learning the in without having to run too far, but we're keeping the speed up and chasing the ball at the end. So we did both again once, both the left and the right when we're doing the ins, because he wanted to be able to do it on both sides. I'm very happy with his jumping today. And then here, just having a little play with Zazu, because he does like to still play. It's a bit hard for him now because he's going deaf and blind, but he loves to play, as you can see from his waggy tail. He has his set of tricks, and that's basically what he does. So this is his favourite one, which is dead. Taught him this when he was about a year old, and it is default. Everything he will give you, he will try and give you the dead, and he will stay there, lying down sideways without moving until he gets a sweet. But yeah, he can do paws as well, and we're working at the end of this video of him standing on his back legs, just because it's actually helping his core a bit to try and keep him fit, and keep his brain active.
Good. Down. Good. Down. Good boy. Yeah. Good boy. Yes. 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 Up. good man. He's a good man, isn't he? He's a good man.
And then the very last thing that I started to train this week was touching a target. So I can't use the word touch because touch means touch my hand. So I've got to come up with a word that I'll actually remember. I'm not sure. Because here he's just a little bit not engaged yet. Once he realises where all the food's coming from, what he has to do, he will start working on it. But like all other training, completely silent until he does the action I want, and then clicking. So we have to work really hard on not giving any cue. So if he had no interaction with the lid at all, what I'd probably start doing is moving it with my finger, potentially putting a sweet on it, so he'd go and get the sweet, and then click for that and put another sweet on it, until he was starting to go to the lid before I put the sweet on it, and then reward, click, and then throw the reward away rather than throw it onto the lid, and then see if they'd come back and touch the lid again. My biggest thing with Tito is that he will put his paws on it rather than just his nose. But so I've got to teach him to just put his nose on it, and then also not just put his nose, grab hold of it and run off, because that's his other favourite game. But in all of this, not yet putting a command on it, so I've got to work out what command I'm going to use for the lid touch. So that will be next week's job, to work out what I'm going to call it, as he's quite happy looking at it for me, and then I can start moving it around and seeing if he really understands the command to it. And I'll probably mix it in with a hand touch so that there's two different commands going on, to make sure he understands the difference in the commands. But we'll show you that next week.
Touch.